It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday. And thank you to everybody who appreciated the song. The Has-Been Hotel thing, as I expected, it did get copyright flagged, even though I didn't monetize the video. So it's a good thing I didn't monetize the video. Even karaoke gets copyright striked, which kind of sucks, but that's the reality of the internet. So if you like that kind of content, the only way to financially support it is help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who use but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. Coffee's great for a one-time, like, hey, that was cool, here you go. I love Coffee's song, actually told me about that. And people were very tickled by that video. They're a lot more work than the standard just chat things for obvious reasons. But it was fun to do as an aside. And if I continue to get good feedback on it, we'll do it again. But Monday's invalidation video, I also like I'm very happy that you guys really like Derwin on Two Women Talking. I think the world of Derwin. He's a great writer. He's an even better human. So it was great to sort of introduce him to people in a long form way. And he does love his Disney princesses. So that was really cool. Even with the technical difficulties that were very frustrating for everybody, especially Song, I did think that was a really good conversation. And I do think, the theme of invalidation that Song was talking about just let me have my romances, there's a lot of that going around, and invalidation, because the Manly Monday video seemed to strike such an intense nerve in people. I'm definitely going to be drilling down on invalidation more, because it seemed to give people some kind of aha moments and help people kind of unlock things on their journey. So that's always a win. So more on that. And on the subject of invalidation, this week, while I was digesting this, I found out about the man versus bear debate. And I want to talk about that in the spirit of, invalidation in men. Because my reaction to the question was not typical for various reasons. The question, there are various, it's a trolley problem in its core. And trolley problems tend to be poorly understood by the mainstream. The whole purpose of a trolley problem is if you change one part of the equation, someone will change their choice. And this particular trolley problem was, the version I saw was, who would you rather be stuck in the woods with? A man who is a stranger or a bear? And me, because I live around bears, well, okay, my first thought was neither the man nor the bear better be Halson, because that's a hard nope. Dude doesn't understand consent. Which sort of got to the crux of the issue, and I didn't know that when I originally had that response. But where I live, occasionally bears go after the bird feeders. It sounds like a giant raccoon. It is a very scary sound. And this is where it all comes down to personal experiences, what you'd pick. I also had a very, very strange, back in the day when I was on TV, someone made a CRTC complaint against the show about a comment made about redheads that I actually disagreed that it violated guidelines. But one of the things they used, the weird thing about broadcast standards in Canada is it's based on precedent. So because a precedent, it was ruled against a sportscaster saying the San Diego Sharks bitch slapped their opponents last night. That was ruled inappropriate. But they ruled it was okay to show a video with a couple who were doing something kinky in the woods, and the guy tied this woman to a tree, and, you know, she was naked and smeared with honey, and a bear came along and raped and killed her. That was okay. The term bitch slapped was not. And I remember thinking at the time, you know, back in the early to mid 2000s, going, we're using a word as worse than making light of the rape and murder of a woman by an animal. Why was it even rape? What? So in that case, you know, man and bear accidentally conspired together, but my reality isn't typical. I also live in Canada, where we live in fear of polar bears. And this is where we get into the trolley problem of, I'm finding people online use the worst case scenario for men and the best case scenario for bears. And I was talking to one guy about this. He was pretty upset by it. And he said, you know, the women always default to black bears, which are more docile and shyer, and cat, you know, more likely to kind of leave you alone. And I'm like, well, then they have to be even and do black men as well. Ha ha, white racist lady. My mic peaked there. But it was a joke, but it's kind of a point, right? Like when you think about, are you more afraid to be alone with a black man than a wild animal? That seems real bad, don't it? Right? It's like, oh, no, I don't mean that. But what we get down to here, we have been trained, High Scout, to fear each other based on race, based on gender, based on religion, based on, you know, I mean, we live in an age where people are throwing Zionism around as a dirty word, and 8 in 10 Jews are Zionist, and Passover was intense this year. It just ended on Tuesday. It started, you know, all this stuff was going on in college campuses during Passover. That was intense. And there's a lot of not, because there's this emotional reactance in response to the invalidating messaging, that a lot of people are getting hurt by this very goofy trolley problem. And that is why I want to talk about it. Because I do think, for me, when people are starting to get really upset by it, these sort of, you know, thought experiments, we need to go, okay, look, this is just a hypothetical. Obviously, you know, if you're left with a polar bear, you're fucked. You know, polar bears actually see humans as food, unlike other type of bears. I mean, grizzly bears, but the responses to me show a certain ignorance. And I put up on Twitter that my man versus bear answer is sort of biased by where I live, because the man would probably be some city boy who needed me for like protection, and up here, because of habitat destruction and, you know, encroaching on bears' environments, yeah, that shit's pretty scary. One of the comments that was given to the manor bear was, I don't get pamphlets given to me telling me how to protect myself from bears. in bear country, you do. They're actually posted places. Like anywhere where there's the bear-proof garbage cans, you are taught bear safety. Don't run is the first one. Another said if someone, if I said I was attacked by a bear, people would believe me. That's a response to invalidation. And another person said to me, well, you're statistically more safe with a bear, or you're specifically less likely to be attacked by a bear than a man. And my response is because you encounter fewer bears. And if you live around bears and you see the destruction they do. I mean, it's not common where I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a freaking druid. Well, not publicly. I'm kidding. But another person's like, a bear, I know the bear's intentions. I don't know the man's. It's like, the bear could have a disease. I mean, periodically here we get warnings that some things infected the local animal population, everything from raccoons to occasionally there's a deer, Deer are usually, they're more dangerous to a car than anything. You're not supposed to approach a deer because you can spook it into traffic. But I think part of the reasons I like opossums so much is they're pretty disease resistant, and the little shitsy ticks. And ticks are a freaking scourge where I am. But we get the LDD moths this year. It's the cicadas. Like we're not in peak cicada country, thank God. But there is, when you live outside of cities in Canada, you do have to get good with the fact that nature is constantly trying to kill you in some way. Statistically, you're more likely to die from bees than bears because people are allergic to bee stings. And I get the fear that is driving women to say bear versus man. In this trolley problem. That is just, and this is what's interesting. My fear response is not the same because of my personal experiences. And it really does seem to be that guilt, that shame. Because, let's face it, the vast majority of men are not going to hurt you. It's the fear of that one who will. But that's true about bears too, right? It really depends on a lot of circumstances. And how well do you know your bear safety? Look up bear safety pamphlets. They are there. And I mean, men are taken aback and hurt. And when you think about it, we have interactions every day. We're out in public with, strange men where nothing goes bad. And most men are not dangerous. And so I do think that this is one of these things where everybody's dealing with their own pain on this issue. And I do notice, at least the TikToks and the Instas and the conversations I've had, that men who aren't white are having very, very strong reactions to this. And I do think they have a point, because the idea of, a dangerous black man, that's a historical stereotype. And it's not just black men that have had really strong reactions to this. The guy I originally heard it from is Asian. But it is, I mean, if we flipped it around, right? And we're like, who'd you rather be alone with, I don't know, a woman, an actual cougar or a human cougar. And men said, you know, the animal, because cougars can't keep their hands off me. Those ladies are creepy. Women would probably get upset, right? Like, I know I have a sensitivity to the way older women who, you know, try to have any sort of appeal to men are treated in media as, you know, mocked and pathetic and suitable for derision. It bothers me. And maybe that's part of the reason that, well, no, it's not. It's my personal experience with bears versus my personal experiences with men. And for people who insist that, you know, oh, that's just because you're lucky. You've never been assaulted. You have no idea. I will only talk about the physical assaults I have experienced. When you work on TV, they happen all the time. I had the boyfriend of my partner's ex-girlfriend elbow me in the back as he passed by while I was building a set. I'm not sure it probably wasn't an elbow, but he shoved me as he was going by, as I was cutting something with an X-Acto blade. I could have been very seriously hurt. And I reported it. And I was treated like a troublemaker, wasn't believed because, well, there's no camera there. We don't know who's telling the truth. So don't fucking tell me that I've just been lucky. I've had to deal with physical assaults by men and worse. Let's not go there. So it's not that I don't know how bad men can be. I just also know that the vast majority of men are not bad. And when it comes to being able to fight off a human man versus fight off a grizzly bear, well, I like my odds with the man more, you know? And it all depends. What kind of amount of space do we have? What equipment do we have? A lot of people missed the nuance of the trolley problem. Personally, I think my answer, better not be Halson, is the correct one. Because there is a shining example of a guy who is creepy and doesn't totally understand consent, who also turns into a bear, and rough sex is involved with bears and as a bear. And I mean, the scar on his face was because of an amorous female bear. So, you know, he was not safe in a night in the woods with a bear. It's something of a trick question to have us divulge our insecurities. And I think that's why it's really had such an impact on people. And again, I understand why women are answering the way they are. The fear and the outsized responsibility to protect ourselves against abuse by men is exhausting. And if you fail to protect yourself, the self-blame is very intense. I've experienced it multiple times, more times than I wish I had to. I mean, once is too much, but it's been way more than once for me. And I know what it's like to not be believed. It's very rare that I've been believed. I'm still persona non grata at a particular science fiction convention in Winnipeg. Lots of bears there. Because a guy there was being incredibly inappropriate, calling my house at 2:00 in the morning, telling people he slept with me. And I said something and 20 other women came forward and I'm still the problem. So, I get it. I get how you have one bad experience with a guy like that and you are very on your guard. That being said, let's not treat men as a class as less than animals, in that let's remember that men have feelings here. And it is a very complicated thing for a lot of guys because they know other men are bad. They know that, and it's horrifying to them. And they just want to not be lumped in with that. And there's a lot of this because, I mean, in online spaces, a lot of us are nerds. A lot of us have grown up chronically invalidated. You know, that's why I talk about, like, people misunderstand when I say, yep, I will declare old, fat, ugly, unfuckable, femcel, thank you, Hassan Piker, right? People feel the need to say, oh no, you're not these things. It's not the point. The point is this, none of this is important. None of it is important. And the fact that that fucker used that to invalidate my opinions on what, Mortal Kombat 11? Like, what an asshole. Would I feel safe in the woods with that guy? Well, yeah, let's face it. At the end of the day, he's a coward. I'd have nothing to worry about. But that's the other thing, right? I think because I have been through so much abuse in my life, I just got too exhausted to be afraid. But there is also the societal double standard of women are afraid. That's okay. You don't have to do it. Men are afraid. Suck it up. Do it anyway. Don't be a pussy. You know? Insult involving female genitalia to call a man a coward. Right? Not great for either side. Because of various career things, child performer, you know, competitive dancer in my teens, all that stuff, television, I had to do a lot of things that I felt were unsafe, but just do it anyway. And then if I got hurt, oh, well, it happens next, you know, I'm injured now. Dance career over. That was because my appendix blew up, but nobody cared. The world moved on. You know, I was nothing. And then, you know, I can't do the hardcore cosplay anymore because I injured my knee. That was an accident. Again, really no one's fault. Was unsafe situation. It happens. And it happens enough. And you're like, being afraid don't change it. But the fact that we are at the point where so many women would take their chances with a bear than another human. And we can understand why, even though I don't actually agree. And again, I'm coming at it like if I'm not joking. And you know, okay, if it's the same thing, a bear tries to attack me, forget it, I'm fucked. Can run faster, is stronger, bear, right? A man tries to attack me. Well, there are weak points I know I can exploit, right? But I'm not assuming a guy who's stuck in the woods overnight is gonna go, you know what I'm gonna do? Rape. That is not how rape usually happens. It just isn't. That guy is going to be scared shitless because he probably doesn't know how to light a fire. He probably doesn't know how to make a campsite. bear safe. He probably doesn't know shit because he's lived in a city all his fucking life. If he has lived in the woods, then he's more interested in, okay, yeah, we got to do this, because that's what people up here do, right? It's get to it. The likelihood is that you are completely safe with that man. More likely than not. It's just that women are trained our entire lives to prevent the exception. Instead of us getting better as a society of seeing the warning signs in the exception and teaching consent with the exception, and the vast majority of male college students who do commit sexual assault, when they're taught consent, they don't reoffend. I mean, that's why the Duluth model works, right? That doesn't mean the fear is unfounded. It just means let's be less invalidating to men. The invalidation that has happened to women because we are not believed doesn't give us the right to then invalidate men as a class because, 90% of those guys have done nothing wrong and will do nothing wrong. They might be emotionally abusive because we're all capable of that, but, physical threats to a woman, no. And this is all about your experience with men. I've been in situations enough to know that men are likely going to be just as scared as me, if not more so, if they're stuck in the woods over. It doesn't say for how long, but most guys are going to be focused on survival, not sexual assault. But women are trained to think, oh no, the first thing on a man's mind is rape, or it might be, so just be careful. And that's an awful way to live. An awful way to live. It's an awful way for women to live. It's an awful way for men to go through life knowing women feel this way. And it's nobody's fault but the rapists, which again are the minority of men and also the minority of women. We got to keep in mind that there are a lot of guys walking around having been sexually abused by a woman when they were a minor. It's not socially acceptable to talk about. They are invalidated as well. These guys have very, very visceral reactions to all men are default rapists unless they're trained not to be. Women are harmless because that's not their experience. Sexual abuse is about power. It's about control. It's about dehumanization. All people are capable of these things. Doesn't mean most people actually do it. We all have the capacity for cruelty and dehumanization in us. Most of us work to move towards the light and away from the dark, right? And the thing is, the way I've seen some women jump on men, but also jump on me, and it's been a real week for not only that, but I'm still getting people saying, thank you for realizing that men can still be respectful to a woman even if we don't find you attractive. And I actually responded to one guy and said, okay, stop announcing you don't find us attractive. Just keep it to yourself. Well, when did I do that? Look at your previous statement. A lack of consideration, a lack of empathy, a crisis, a plague of invalidation is affecting all of us. And it's really important to keep in mind while, guys, it helps a lot to understand why women are this afraid. That being said, I do understand how it's really, really hard to listen to that when you're basically being told you're more potentially dangerous than, a 300-pound grizzly. I get that. And I get that partially because, guys wanted me to listen to them go on and on and on about Star Wars Outlaws and on and on about Horizon Zero Dawn. And all I kept hearing, and they were not intended to, but you're ugly, you're useless, you're worthless, you're ugly, get out of my sight, you ugly hag. That's all I kept hearing, even though it wasn't what they were saying. And that's very real, And then, of course, when I tried to talk about it, some guys got hurt and told other people who then told me. And that happens. It's too bad. These are hard conversations to have. And everybody's feelings have to matter for us to get to better, for us to get to change. Women shouldn't feel disgusting to men by default, which, if you asked a lot of women, I think more women than not would go, yeah, we assume we disgust men until we hear otherwise. I know most of the women I know are that because we only see the flaws and we have to hide them constantly. And we're constantly afraid of, well, not only sexual assault, but okay, what happens when the guy finds out we're not perfect? Is he going to reject me like, various other people have? And when we actually think about it, it wasn't men who were making us feel like self-conscious about that. It was other women. I know for me, my own mother is the biggest source of my body issues. But it was all, well, boys have to like you. Well, why? Oh, well, you want them to like you, kind of thing. It's just, that's the way this is. And this is this vestiges of patriarchy that we keep talking about. And I don't like the term because it's men don't feel powerful. And so the term is not useful. But I take that empathy of feeling beat up on, watching a whole bunch of, she's ugly, she's fat, she's not hot, she's ugly. I take that and I apply it to this with, you're worse than a bear. Oh no, men are, no, I'd take the bear. I'd totally take the bear. It's really the same. It really is. So because I don't like it, I'm not going to do it to other people. And I think there's a way to have a conversation here that doesn't just tell anyone to shut up, you're bad. Because I have seen a lot of guys get jumped on with shut up, you're bad when they respond to the very, I get why women would pick the bear. I had moments where I was like, there's something wrong with me for not going with the bear. I think partially it is Halson-related trauma. Kidding. But it's also like I second-guessed my own response because I've been called a pick-me so often. Thanks, Anita Sarkeesian and company. Cool chick okay with sexism. But I really, it's not that. It's that because of the male-dominated professions that I work in, the sheer number of exchanges, the sheer number of experiences I have with men in private, sometimes overnight, theater, acting. I mean, TV was shit, but it wasn't, for the most part, it was not the other performers. It was management and tech crews. Holy fuck, those guys were such assholes. But the vast majority of the experiences that I had with men were lovely and professional and safe. And because I had those experiences, I don't have the same fear response of men as a class. Now, other women don't have that. And the sound of a bear tearing up apart a bird feeder in the middle of the night when you don't know what it is the first time is fucking terrifying. It's all about life experience, right? But let's just please not do this to each other. Let's not react. Let's take a minute. Your feelings are valid. They don't have to control your responses. Please don't attack people because you're hurt. They respond with hurt. Let's show empathy instead of reactivity. Let's validate instead of invalidate. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care sessions for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend. Watch out for bears.